Morning, folks. Today's soap is brought to us from Proraso. This one here has menthol and eucalyptus in it, and it started out being 150 milliliters or 5.2 ounces in the beginning. This is my very first tub of Proraso, and it's getting close to being towards the bottom there. Not quite seeing the very bottom, but I'm getting pretty close. And this is a very soft soap. Very easy to press your finger in it, and quite easy to lather up, in my opinion. Proraso is just one of those soaps or creams, depending on which one you get, maybe both like I've got. It's just, I guess you might say, a staple and that I would prefer to have always in the house. It's really nice in my opinion, especially for the value. You can find it on sale depending, like for instance, if you go to brick and mortar from time to time, you might find it at Marshall's, TJ Maxx, or Ross. You might find it there for either $3.99, $4.99, just depends, when you find it. Great find when you do find it in brick and mortar, or you can wait for it to go on sale. But I know typically, what, $8.99, $9.99 is the, I guess you might say, the everyday price, but you can find it on sale from time to time closer to the $5 mark. And I have it whipped up here in the Crown King Scuttle with a ever-ready brush, a 150W that was been remounted by Strike Gold Shave, but it is nice and warm, just not quite drippy, but really close to that. Looking really good this morning. Easy to lather up. I enjoy Proraso. I get along with Proraso. Also, got the Allen Block No Rubber Band this morning. I used to have one back in the day. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I guess I should go ahead and mention, here's my Witch Hazel Humphreys. That's mentholated as well. It's got some peppermint in it. This will be my first time using the Proraso. This one here is going to be the aftershave balm. I have the aftershave lotion, but I've never used the balm, and I finally got the balm. Decided to go ahead and get it. It was on sale. Italian Barbers where it was at. So in other words, when it gets down to the right price, I'll buy some stuff. But yeah, I usually try to wait till things go on sale. Now this one here, if you wait for it to go on sale, chances are you're probably going to be waiting quite a while, because I don't recall ever seeing it on sale, or if it was on sale, it wasn't like a serious markdown. But this is the shavette of the day, and I'm holding it up like this so that you can see the name right side up. And I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce all of it, but this comes by the way of Portugal. The scales are wood. This clamp right here that holds things together does not have a pivot pin or anything like that. It comes completely off, and if you can see that blade, it runs all the way across. So in other words, it's not a DE snapped in half. It's not a mini hair shaver blade. This is a Schick Proline P30. I'm going to be using it today. Today will be the third use on this particular blade, and been enjoying my shaves with this shaver. Also, I've already put a hot towel to the face, and instead of using Sterling's beard oil that doubles as a Preshave oil, been working with coconut oil. Now the coconut oil that I'm using, it was on sale in Walmart. I didn't, have any preconceived notion which one I was going to buy. We were walking down the aisle, saw that it was on sale. Oh, I want to try that, because I'd seen where Kit had been using it and mentioned it to Tim. So I thought I'd give it a try, and I've been using it off and on, and now I'm back to using it since I finally completed my container of Sterling beard oil. Any rate, it was, like I say, it was on sale, and plus it had some handy dandy information I thought was pretty nice to have for somebody that didn't have a clue. It mentions here that it naturally melts at 75 degrees, and it does. And once it gets above that temperature, in other words, just put a little bit on my finger, and as soon as I put it on my face, it just melts. This one here, this particular one, does not have a coconut scent to it. So if you're concerned about the coconut, having a that scent to it and it affects your shave, this one here doesn't have that. It also, you can find coconut oil that's already in liquid form. At least my travels, when I looked at it briefly, they were more expensive than this one. So just want to throw that out there. But I think it was like $4.99 is when I bought this one. It's on sale. It'll last forever. At any rate, I'll go ahead and get going. Wet the face. Excuse me. Also, what I've got in front of me is I've got a dry towel directly in front of me, and just off to the side I have a warm, damp towel. If the reason why I've got it over there, from time to time, it is one of those things that it has a dual purpose. One, if you're concerned about if you're like a straight razor shaver or even a shavette, and you don't want moisture necessarily getting down to that pivot pin and starting to rust out on you or anything like that, you want to keep it away from moisture. So in other words, water. I have a damp cloth over here off to my side, this way, and I usually like to use it, believe it or not, just to wipe the shaving cream off there, so that way my sink water stays cleaner, so the rinse will be a lot easier. But also, once again, keeping it out of water, you're wiping it off over here on the side, and keeps everything dry around that pivot pin. But that's just throwing some stuff out there that I guess you might say that I usually just sometimes I just forget to mention it. Oh, it's kind of like the beard serum that I've been using from Leah. This stuff is pretty good. Really can't complain about it. This pump right here controls how much I use, so that way I get used to how much works for me. And very nice for travel. It's inexpensive. It's only like $5. Pretty, yeah, like I say, that's pretty inexpensive, because typically, depending on what name brand you're using, you know, you can spend all the way, you know, well into $15 for some beard oil or beard balm or something else, or just depending on the name brand. It's going to be one of those mornings, yes. Tony was rather needy this morning, and I was hoping that I could put him outside and he would calm down, but evidently he is barking, and one of the little ones is responding to him. Tony's our German Shepherd, by the way, in case you're not used to it. I may have to stop this for a moment, and I don't know, this depends on how much more he plans on barking. I can hear him outside. At any rate, we'll see how this works this morning, see how much of a distraction he is. Starting out with a shavette like this, whether you have 2 fingers in front, 2 fingers in back, where you place your fingers through all this, it really just depends on you and what's comfortable for you. If it's only 1 in front, 3 in front, just whatever works best for you. I suggest starting out with a shavette or even a straight razor. And it's been mentioned before from folks that are far more experienced than I am. You want to start with basically a flat, and just start to work it up a little bit until you can start feeling the blade cutting the whiskers. Especially if you're kind of challenged and trying to visualize, you know, degrees. It may not, those degrees may not work well for you, but you know, just start relatively flat, work it up just a little bit, and when you start feeling the whiskers, you know, work with that for a while until you get real comfortable with what works best for you. Now some folks would prefer shorter strokes, and once again, what works best for you. Longer ones, for the most part, especially with the grain, seems to work well for me. I've been using it for quite a while, so I'm very used to it. Now stretching is up to the individual on how much to stretch, and it's a case-by-case basis. In some areas you may need to stretch more than others, and sometimes it's just a matter of just kind of, you know, stretching this way or stretching that way, puffing your cheek out, depending on where you're at and what you're doing. But like I say, it's really up to the individual and how much is needed in the way of stretching. But stretching will help with, you don't have to worry so much about, I guess you might say, loose skin, getting nicks or cuts. It's important to keep that skin taut or tight. This particular shavette was actually designed for a DE blade snapped in half. And it was just through the course of messing around with shavettes, whatnot, I tried to see if I could work using a blade that would work in there, but not necessarily advertise that as what it's made for. I'm not the first one by any means. There's been other folks that's tried the same thing. And ever since I found that it runs full length, I really enjoy it. That's the only blades I use in it nowadays. It's one that's like a Feather Artist Club style blade. Probably should also mention, as it goes, if you're kind of wondering, how you hold it is really up to you. What is most comfortable for you, that's what you should go with. I do find myself on certain strokes, I guess you might say, going different directions. Holding it like this a lot of times does feel pretty comfortable for me. In other words, almost like a Camisori style shaver. Now for me, even with whether it is a straight razor or a shavette, I do find that two passes usually work pretty well for me. In other words, a pass that's with the grain and the one across the grain. I find that it works well for me. You may find that you may have to practice using across the grain pass also. I do pretty well, fairly comfortable when I feel the need to. Going across basically from the jawline up works well for me. I can do that and be comfortable with it. But if you're not, there's no harm in having your favorite shaver over there on the side to catch those trouble spots. In other words, if you're not comfortable trying to catch it with a shavette or a straight razor, like I say, there's nothing wrong with that. And especially, like for instance, for me, I have a strip that's right through here. It's not always there when I shave with the shavette. Sometimes it stays, down to a minimum acceptable level for me that I can leave there. It's not noticeable, can't see it. I just know that it's there. And every once in a while I feel the need to do something about it. I've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable with using a shavette, but if you're not, like especially if it's down here on the neck and it's really awkward for you, just grab your favorite DE, catch that spot real quick, and I guess you might say be done with it. There's no harm in it. In other words, just because you're shaving with one shaver doesn't mean you can't use another one to finish it up. On a regular basis even. I don't see a problem with it. It's your shave, whatever you're comfortable with using. You can kind of see this this is going on pretty good. I paint. It's one of my favorite lathering process up here, or applying the lather. That's what I use, is a painting motion. I'm going to practice doing something different here pretty soon. Over time, over the summer in other words, I've been working on, how can you say, accumulating some shave sticks, because I know I'm terrible at face lathering. It's a challenge for me. So I thought what I would try to do is accumulate a number of different ones and shave with shave sticks for an extended period of time. In other words, however long it takes. I haven't quite figured out how this is going to work for me, whether it's a month and a half at a stretch or how that's going to work. And just practice, using shave sticks, face lathering, and see how that works. Especially different sticks will work better with some than others. And prices on shave sticks, they're all over the map. You can get some for around a couple of dollars. That's the cheapest I've been able to find them. And some well past $12. They get quite expensive, in my opinion. It's a shave stick. It's not even a hot tub. It's usually about half that amount, right around the 2-ounce mark, sometimes maybe 2.5 ounces. So $12.50, $15 for a shave stick is kind of painful in my opinion when you look at what you're getting. I understand it's convenience, it's in a stick, but on the other hand, I don't know, just one of those things for me mentally getting past it was really difficult. So in other words, waiting for sales is what I was doing. Now blade placement, since this particular shaver was not designed to be used with this blade, it's basically typically just like anything else. This particular shavette does not twist open. It just separates. In other words, it just opens up just a little bit. And what I've done is I've slid the blade, and the top of the blade hits the post, the two that it has there, and I just center it up, and that's how I place it in there. And I used the back of my fingernail in order to put it in there. I may have to cut this a little bit short. I hear Tony still barking. In other words, I may forego the video with the aftershave balm. If it's anything like I've used in the past, a little bit goes a long ways. If I remember right, can't remember if I got this particular shavette from Gifts and Care, or if it's the Portuguese online shop. Yeah, he's still barking. I think I probably will have to cut this a little bit short. It's early in the morning on a Friday morning. Not everybody appreciates having a dog barking at 4:40 in the morning in the AM. Did pretty good. No necks cuts. Now I will say that this particular blade, that is something when it comes to blades. The grind is different. This particular one, it feels more like a injector blade to me. That's the shave feel that I get from it. A Captain Pink, Captain Pink, that one there has a different grind to it, and it's what I would consider, if you're familiar with any kind of terminology with a straight razor, like a full hollow or even 3/4 hollow. It has a very distinct grind to it, and it's very thin at the edge, where this one here is a somewhat thicker. And then in my opinion, using a Feather Artist Club Super is darn near like a wedge in my opinion. Now for me, the Super works best. I've tried the Professional, and that blade just does not work well for me. It does not feel like it is sharp as the Super. That's just how it feels. I know, I'm pretty sure that it's not that it's not sharp, it's just maybe just the way it's ground, the thickness of the blade, just something different about it that just does not work well for me. Now I know for a lot of folks, the Professional is the blade to go with, as goes for Feather Artist Club's blades, but for me, that blade did not work too well for me. I tried several times, you just could not get it to work well for me, but a Super does. And these Prolines are working pretty well for me. The only thing is that, you might struggle on where to find them. I'll put a link down below. If like anything else, I know it may be kind of tough in the beginning, ordering one and then paying that shipping. So if you can find a place like maybe even eBay. I know around here, eBay, what it wants to, seem like most of them, they want to sell you a box of, a box of 10, for instance. And in other words, you end up with like 300 blades, which is not a bad deal, but you don't want to buy 300 blades if you don't know if it's going to work well for you or not. Get a better deal when you buy them in bulk like that. And of course, with that kind of price, you get free shipping. The troubles of shaving. I think he may be finally calmed down a little bit, so we'll go ahead and go with the Proraso aftershave balm. So maybe if you've never tried it, like this will be my first time, You might be interested in checking out as it's applied. That's how big the opening is right there, and it's not real big. And this is not exactly. We'll see how it comes out. I'm left with the impression that it is similar to, I guess you might say, lotion consistency. Just a little runny. Probably got way too much. Like I said, a little bit goes a long way, so this stuff is probably going to last forever. There's one thing I should comment about the lid. When you snug it up on the container, I mean, it is tight. It is. So in other words, traveling with this, I would not see a problem. In other words, in that, sometimes if you notice when you get your mail call, and sometimes the lids on certain objects seem to somehow or another work their way loose. This one here was not, that was not the problem. Not at all. When I got it, I was really surprised on how tight it was. I had to really work at getting it open. It was nice and snug. And even after putting it on there and then taking it back off, that just is the nature of how that one's designed. You can kind of see it works in pretty good. By the end of the day, we'll see how, of course that won't be it on the video, but end of the day, how does it feel on my face? Is it sticky, tacky, greasy? I would have to say probably it's acceptable, especially once you figure out how much you want to put on your face. It's been around for quite some time, and I can remember when I first started looking at this, this was more readily available, it seemed like sometimes, than the aftershave lotion. The wording, aftershave lotion, balm, all that sort of thing. I do have some Proraso Preshave. I'm not quite ready to start working it in to give it a try. Working with the coconut oil right now. Like I said, it is, for what you get, it is a serious bargain, great value. And as I can tell for the shave, how does it feel versus like the beard oil from Sterling that doubles as the Preshave? Coconut oil is a lot cheaper. It definitely fits, excuse me, should fit in most anybody's budget. And the difference between the two, coconut oil is thinner. In other words, once it melts, it goes on pretty easy. And there is a little bit of the post-shave feel difference, but as it goes for during the shave, I can tell that it's there, especially with a shavette. Based on price and my experience, I would have to say coconut oil is the great value to go with, especially if you don't have beard oil and you don't want to spend the amount of money, $10, $15 for 3 ounces or $5 or $6 for 1 ounce or anything quite like that. Your value is with the coconut oil. There is a bit of a difference between them, but especially if you're trying to stay within a smaller budget, yeah, that would be the direction I go. Have to recommend though to at least give it a try. Is try a Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Preshave Cube. You might find that you really enjoy it, even though it's going to be more expensive than the coconut oil. You will find that you may find that you really enjoy using it if you enjoy using Preshave products. I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves to you.